So initially they said to us, give us 3 minutes-ish on VAR. You'll be getting more than that. Video assistant referees are now in the Premier League. Ian Darke, Premier League commentator, how have your commentaries been affected by video assistant referees since it was introduced to the Premier League?
Well, it's harder, of course. It's much harder because there's a goal and there's this huge celebration, but you're having to build in this kind of, or is it a goal, part of your commentary, and that does dilute the drama. There's no question of that to me. But the question, I think, is it worth diluting the drama to get it right? I think the answer is yes, because the ultimate thing with VAR, I think, is it comes down to this. Do you want things like the Maradona hand of God goal or the Thierry Henry handball to just stand ludicrously going forward? Do you want World Cup finals decided by somebody who's 3 yards offside?
Let's cut to the chase. Has it been good for the Premier League?
I think there have been teething troubles with it, and I think they've probably set the bar too high on when they refer incidents to the VAR, because they want to keep the game flowing, and I get that. They don't want it to become like a VAR festival with the fans in the dark. So they're very, very reticent to go to the video assistant referee, and I don't recall a single instance yet of a referee going over and looking at the monitor, and I think they have missed 2 or 3 penalties for that reason. But having said that, remember the game recently, Manchester United and Arsenal, and Aubameyang's goal was disallowed when he was 2 yards onside, and it was rightly corrected, and that's what VAR's for. What
about simulation, diving? Have we seen less of it because of VAR, or has it not done anything to put these players off?
No, I don't think it's put too many players off. I think the only thing that's going to put players off that is if you make that a straight red card. If you're trying to buy a penalty and a goal, which could change the game, by diving, and it is a blatant dive, then that should be a straight red card, I think, and then it does go into the VAR area.
Okay, what's a dive? Because with contact, the player could argue, I got touched. So some are obvious. We've seen that.
But others when it's fresh air, isn't it, Mark? I think when there isn't any contact at all, and you've completely invented an imaginary foul.
That's fine. That's simulation. What if it is embellished? And there's a slight bit of contact, but it's embellished by the player, and he maybe cons the official into giving a penalty. If there's embellishment, has VAR done enough to prevent that, or is there nothing wrong with the embellishment?
Well, it's got to be straight red, isn't it, for VAR to get involved, and at the moment, diving's just a yellow card offence, so that's something maybe to think about going forward if you want to get simulation and cheating out the game. Let's call it what it is, cheating.
You and I call and commentate on a lot of games in a lot of different countries, but I want to talk to you about the Premier League specifically. It's being introduced this year. What is the communication like for the supporters in attendance?
Not good enough at the moment. They've got to improve that, and I think the people behind the VAR revolution, if you can call it that, they know that. I spoke to Mike Riley, the referee supremo, and he said we can't produce the perfect game. They tried to put messages up on the screen, but I think it's going to get to a point, and they're worried about crowd trouble with this, where they have to show the incident. Here it is. This is why this goal's been disallowed. Because if you've paid huge money, good money, to go and watch a football match, you shouldn't be in a situation where you know less than the people watching the game on the television. You should be kept informed, and they have to involve the fans more than they are doing.
What did it tell us that the Premier League was the last of the big leagues to introduce VAR?
Yeah, because I think they thought it isn't quite ready. There are teething troubles, and I think they were quite happy to sit back and let other leagues work through all the problems, and then they move in and implement it. But last season, and I think people forget this, there were a number of horrendous errors made with refereeing decisions in the Premier League, which every week you sat there and thought, hang on a minute, in Germany, Italy, VAR would have picked these up, and they've been allowed to stand. So it couldn't come quickly enough, for me anyway, but that's only my opinion.
There's an element of not wanting to re-referee the game as well, and something you mentioned earlier about how high the bar has been set with regards to taking another look at something, yet still overturning it. They want this clear and obvious error, and I get that as well. But when you've got the bar so high and you see replays, we've seen penalties that maybe should have been awarded, but they've been checked and then they haven't been given. Is that an issue? Is the bar too high? Do they need to maybe lower that for reviews?
I think they do, yeah. I think they should be less shy about admitting that an error has been made. What it can't be, I think, is an alternative opinion. And I think some people fall into that trap and say, well, I'd have given a penalty there, but that's not how it's supposed to work. It's got to be a very, very clear error by the referee. He's missed something that is obvious. But once they've decided that, they shouldn't be too shy about calling in the VAR and getting it put right.
Finally, if you were a school teacher and you were to give a mark, A, B, C or D for VAR in the Premier League so far this season, what are you doing?
B, because they need to improve elements of especially the fan friendliness of it.
That was about 3 minutes, wasn't it? Maybe.
I think so.
A wee bit more.
Maybe more.
There's a lot to talk about with VAR, and no doubt we'll continue to do so.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.